So we can go over sort of the details of their lists here. The creature bases are all relatively the same. I believe they both have main deck copies of Vulcanwrath Aristocrat.
Yeah, I've got 2 here.
Yeah, with 3 over here. That was a card. Oh, we're already underway. All right. So turn 1 Gravecaller from Chun. And no play from Q.
Having something on turn 1 is rather important.
Yes.
If you're zombies, I know that you know a bit more about the zombies mirror than I do, but as it looks like he's considering tragic slipping this.
Yep.
This Gravecrawler. Yeah, I figured that was the case. Which doesn't really seem like the best use of that card.
Well,
but
you know, it depends what the rest of his curve is like. Like if he has a play on 2 and on 3, it's probably worth it.
Sure.
Especially if his play on 2 can't handle, can't like trade profitably with the Gravecrawler anyway. Could be worth using the slip.
Sure. I can see. Go ahead.
There's a Mortapod out of Hankyu, which is, you know, this is a great reason to have used the slip because this play also doesn't do anything to stop Gravecrawler.
Okay. I can see from Charlie's side that he has a messenger in his hand along with one of the more important cards in the matchup, as you brought up yesterday, which is a red-black dual land.
Yeah.
So that he can cast his Brimstone's Volleys and his Arch Trails and his Falconwrath Aristocrats. So he has that in his hand. He also has Messenger and he has Falconwrath Aristocrats. So his hand is pretty well off right now. It looks like Mortapod is going to trade here with his Fume Spitter, which makes sense based on what he did last turn.
Sure.
Killing the Gravecrawler, so it's going to take care of that, but nothing is going to take care of this guy.
Yeah. Gerald's Messenger, far and away, both the best card in the deck and the best card in the mirror.
So we'll see what Hankyu is going to be able to do about this. That's a Highborn Ghoul, which is one of the more unimpressive cards in the mirror.
Yeah.
Intimidate not really generating much of an advantage.
That's a Guess Verdict. So his Charlie Chun's hand's pretty loaded. He has a Guess Verdict, a Diregraph Ghoul, and a Vulcanwrath Aristocrat. So I expect him just to attack, play his Diregraph Ghoul, and rebuy his Gravecrawler.
Okay, I can definitely see that. Now, there's potential for a trade here if Han has a tragic slip. He's probably more than happy to block here. But even if that's the case, Charlie's board is still perfectly fine with 2 2/2s being in play post combat, assuming that's the line that he's going to make.
And you're also in a position with the Aristocrat in your hand where you're happy if you draw a land and you're happy if you draw a spell.
Sure.
Yeah, which is a nice. Often when I'm playing aggressive decks, that's where I'm trying to sculpt my plays too. So you have a turn where it doesn't matter what you're drawing.
Sure. He returns Gravecrawler and opts not to cast the Diregraph Ghoul.
I believe that he's probably playing around an Aristocrat by doing this play.
Okay.
It's still a little. I'm still not a fan of it because you can just untap and Guess Verdict if that's the play that he has, and you're on the front foot of the race right now, so you don't mind getting hit for 4 very much. But that Diregraph Ghoul is only getting worse as you allow the game to progress.
Yeah, the longer the game goes, the worse that guy is going to get, especially if he draws a land next turn, because he's going to want to cast Aristocrat then, and then it's even worse down the road.
Especially with him blocking with Hankyu blocking with the Highborn Ghoul last turn, it implies that he's going to make a play this turn to try to answer the Messenger. It doesn't make a lot of sense for him to go block your Messenger, untap, attack you for 4, and take a big hit on the way back.
Sure. So there's a Highborn Ghoul. And how many Highborn Ghouls does Han have in his deck?
He has 4.
Okay. So he's loaded up on those. It's of course a card that he doesn't really want to draw many of in the mirror, and he's already found his way to draw 2. So.
Right, it's the first card. You know, one guy has a Geralt's Messenger and a Gravecall, and the other guy has 2 Highborn Ghouls.
Sure.
And in related news,
yeah, one guy is winning and one guy is losing.
Yeah.
There's
a blood artist.
Artiste. He's going to respond to that. Looks like a go for the throat.
Yeah,
possibly a dismember, but I think it's a go. Okay, that guy, we're going to get in for 2. And then
he has no, Han has no go for the, he has a Doomblade and a Dismember, so that must have been
so that was a Dismember.
Yeah.
And then he has a Diregraph Ghoul, and so his last card in his hand is just the Falconwrath.
Yep.
Falconwrath Aristocrat.
Or Aristocrat, rather, sorry.
Blood Artist is especially dangerous now because of the way that Han has been playing this game. He's been trading as often as possible, and Blood Artist makes that favorable for Charlie instead of being unfavorable.
Yeah. Now the Han does have one main deck copy of Bonfire of the Damned, so he does have a fairly live draw.
Okay. A one-outer, if you will.
Yeah.
Fifth land.
And
Phyrexian
Phyrexian Metamorph.
Nothing too appealing to copy, and he has to pay 2 life to even be able to play that card.
Not a huge fan of Metamorph in the deck.
Sure. Draw step.
Basically, the only bad draw in his deck was right there.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe another Aristocrat, but that's pretty much... It's a Black Cleave Cliff, so he can't really do anything.
Yeah, that was one of the few bad draws that Charlie had available to him. Looking at his deck list, Sword of War and Peace.
I'm assuming we're going to chump and then just trade off. He's going to hit the Gravecrawler? Okay.
I don't really like that hit. I think you need to kill the Blood
Yeah,
Artist
I don't know. You're sort of just spinning your wheels with this play.
Yeah, and Gravecrawler, there's nothing to stop Gravecrawler from coming back.
Nothing stops Gravecrawler.
Yeah.
Cannot be stopped.
Always crawling.
Yeah.
And Blood Artist is the bigger problem right now than the Gravecrawler.
Also, when you kill the Blood Artist, it's just dead.
Yeah,
You just move on.
I like it to be dead always. There's a Texas Diagraph Ghoul being equipped. And here comes the angriest vampire. That card is aggressive, man.
Yeah.
That is an aggressively costed card.
Yep. It is potent.
Reminds me a lot of Giant Solifuge.
Except it flies. It's hard
Yeah,
to kill.
I mean, it's flies. I think they're relatively similar.
They're really hard to kill.
Yeah, it's relatively similar in difficulty to kill, but they were both very format. Well, Giant Solifuge was a format-defining card, and it wouldn't surprise me moving forward if Falkenrath Aristocrat became that good of a card. It's so good in this particular deck.
Yep. And it's so good against the green decks too.
Yeah. Shoot that. I presume there will be a sacrifice taking place, especially with Blood Artist on the table.
Yep.
Sacrifice there.
All right, so we'll start here. It seems like a fine place to.
I'm gonna have 2 Blood Artist triggers occur, and then he can just sack here to finish him off. So that's gonna be it. Game 1's gonna go to Charlie Chun.
Charlie Chun drew a bunch of good cards in the matchup, and Hanku drew all the horrendous cards.
Yeah, he drew all the idiots and none of the awesome cards.
All right, so sideboard. Hanku doesn't actually have a lot that's particularly good for the matchup. He has a Go, which is fine. He has 2 Nihilist Spell Bombs, which are better than other cards that he has in this deck. He has 2 copies of Liliana, which are okay on the play.
Probably much worse on the draw. And what else? We're gonna cut back to the booth really quickly. We are going to be giving away 6 months of premium. So we have to come up with a question
Yeah, we could have
on the spot.
used a little more forewarning here.
Well, I'm ready.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
just thought of a card.
All right, go
I just
for
thought
it.
of a question.
All right.
Okay. We've been talking about mono green all weekend because we love it.
Uh-huh.
All right. And so there's a miracle card in mono green that players can typically play 3 to 4 copies of. What's the name of that miracle card?
Name the miracle.
Name the miracle that the mono green players typically play 3 to 4 copies of. And if you name that miracle and put it in hashtag SCG Premium, 6 months of premium.
6 months of premium, and we'll have a winner after this match is over.
That's correct. So if you're capable and able to name the name of the miracle card that mono green players typically play 3 to 4 copies of.
And that I believe we've been misnaming all weekend.
I said it wrong almost every time I've done it.
So we've thrown out a little bit of a trick. This question's actually harder than normal because if you've just been paying attention to the cast, you'll probably get the wrong answer.
Yeah, if you've been paying attention to the cast, what I've been saying is the name of a Transformers movie, and that's not the name of the card. And the Transformers movie is terrible.
Right.
So, but yeah, go ahead and send that to hashtag SCG Premium, and we'll select the winner, and the winner will get 6 months of premium, where they'll be able to read articles about Red from you.
Maybe.
Oh,
6 months. Yeah, they'll get one.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, they'll get one.
But I think we're going to cut back to the match, and as we do that, I know that you said that Han doesn't have a ton to sideboard in, but looking at Charlie's deck, and we covered Charlie yesterday in the quarterfinals where he played against a zombie mirror. Vampire Nighthawk, he has a 1-of in his sideboard.
Excellent card.
Absolutely fantastic in the mirror. He has one additional tragic slip he can board in. The duresses and the distresses, not very big fans of, but I do like the third art trail that he can bring in. And if the game gets a little bit later, which it typically doesn't, he could board in Zell's Conscripts or Mark of Mutinies, but I think he's just got those 3 or 4 cards he's going to bring in this matchup and board out some of his worst cards like his Highborn Ghouls. So,
I actually don't mind a distress that much. It depends how many other bad cards you have in your deck.
Okay.
Because a lot of the knuckleheads have a tough time connecting, and a lot of the spot removal spells don't really work. But because Messenger and looks like both players are going to take a mulligan here.
Yeah.
Because Messenger and Aristocrat matter so much, and a lot of the other stuff matters so little, that even though Distress is a little mopey and slow, I actually don't think it's the worst card that you can have.
Sure, I mean, it's not terrible on the draw where you just want to make sure that you don't get bowled over very quickly. Yeah. So if you're able to cast it on turn 2 and take a draw off Messenger, which may be integral to Han's game plan, that can potentially lead to a win or catching an Aristocrat.
Yeah, I actually have Despise and Distress in my zombie sideboard.
Okay.
And I like Despise here a little bit more just because of the mana efficiency.
Sure.
But I think the discard's okay to bring in.
With Duress being reprinted, does that change kind of how you build your deck going forward? Do you think that's a better discard spell than the first two?
The thing is that I like Distress a lot more than Duress against ramp decks. So it depends where that deck is in the format.
Okay.
Same with Birthing Pod too, because they have a range of spells that matter. They also have a range of just random creatures that situationally matter a lot too.
Sure.
So the flexibility is worth a lot, but it's possible you want some split because 1 mana versus 2 is a big difference as well.
Especially in this deck that only plays 22 land.
Yeah, for sure. So it wouldn't surprise me if I was at a point where it was like 3 Despise, 2 Distress, 2 Duress was my sideboard discard suite.
That makes me want to throw up, but that's fine. 3/2/2. Can't get one of them right. All right.
Listen, man, I'm the ultimate proponent of just get it right, but they're for different decks.
Sure. As both players are looking at 6 cards here, but what I've noticed, and we covered Zombie Mirror yesterday, it really does seem like whoever is on the play really just has a huge advantage.
Like I said yesterday, I think it matters, but also there's just a range and power level with cards that you can still win on the draw if you have the cards that are more meaningful.
Sure.
So turn 1 Gravecrawler and turn 2 nothing from Honkyu. Charlie with a turn 1 Diagraph Ghoul, and now with a turn 2 Blood Artist.
The Artiste getting online and in for 2 with the Diagraph Ghoul. So they both have the Knuckleheads in play, and 1-drops are rather important. This is going to take care of that guy.
Yeah, we're just going to go.
Can't let Blood Artist stay alive very long. No. Quick little life drain there, but I was going to say the Blood Artist is online first for Charlie, but taken care of rather quickly by Han.
Yeah, it caused such a distortion to combat. It's just, you had to get the thing off the table. And there's the man.
The myth.
The legend.
He is very powerful.
So, Charlie did bring in his Nile spell bombs.
Yes.
And I think that he has to leave his Diagraph Ghoul back here on defense, but if he plays his spell bomb, then he can, in theory, sit back with his Diagraph Ghoul, block the Messenger, and then Sugar Undying and spell bomb him. But I think he would rather get the Gravecrawler as well in some sort of exchange before firing off a spell bomb.
I would feel that way too, as he just does attack, and he's going to play Blood Artist and Nile Spellbomb, so I think that the next turn is when he's going to stop attacking and try to catch these guys off guard.
Right. Charlie has 2 copies of his hand is just 2 lands right now. He has 2 copies of Arc Trail in his deck, which would be just a spectacular draw.
Yes, for the current situation, I don't think there's a better card than he can draw.
Yeah. get to get everything, including his graveyard. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Never mind. Doesn't matter as much anymore. We had a window. The window is closed.
And here comes Falkenrath Aristocrat, and just such an unbelievable card. Just so punishing, so aggressive. And now, I mean, it's just interesting like how these games go because it's so hard to catch up once you're behind.
Yep.
We brought this point up yesterday. There's just so little lifelink. Like now, one of the best draws you can have is Vampire Nighthawk to get back into this game.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't know if that's going to save him.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be moving some number of Nighthawks into my sideboard.
Sure.
Yeah. I was very impressed with them yesterday. Makes a lot of sense.
Another land drawn for Charlie. Charlie can only simply pass back. He's at 6 life. He doesn't have a good block. I mean, he can't block Aristocrat at all, and his blocks this turn aren't exactly great.
I mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
And when you fill it out with zombies, no matter what you're playing against, you're always going to be in a rather difficult spot.
Yeah, it's not a deck that plays well with too much land.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason it only plays 22, but when you draw 6 in a game, it's difficult to win, especially in the mirror when you're being just beaten down and harassed like he is this game.
Yeah. Han has 23 lands in his build, which makes sense because he has a copy of Bonfire and more higher curve generally. I also really like 4 Fume Spitters in this deck.
I do too, for just keeping the green decks under control.
Yep.
Also keeping Delver under control a
Good
little
in the
bit.
mirror too. And it's also just want to play something on turn 1. Plays really well with Brimstone Volley too. Just it always works.
That's true. It's unfortunate that he's not a zombie, but once again, you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, it's still not a zombie.
It's still not even close.
So there's going to be 3 Blood Artist activations that go onto the stack, and then there's also going to be a Nile Spellbomb taking place.
Yeah, I assume we're going to tag his messenger here.
Yes. He's going to be able to get a card. 3 activations are going to go on, so doesn't look like he's going to die this turn.
But I'm not even sure he's drawing 2 anymore.
Yeah, he's not drawing incredibly live. Han's hand has to be pretty bad in order for him to be able to come back this game. You draw from Spellbomb. Tragic Slip is actually one of the better draws. Is that a Go for the Throat, possibly? Ugh. Okay, well, that'll take care of it. Yeah. They went through all the jockeying of, hey, I need to resolve my triggers, and I want to catch your Undying guy with a Spellbomb, and Brimstone Volley, you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah, that solves it. That makes it easy.
Pretty straightforward.
I mean, as much as, I'd like for this matchup to be complicated and that sort of thing, I mean, the games seem rather straightforward.
Right, a lot of the jockeying just has to go on like how you're using your removal spells. That's a big part of the jockeying. I mean, there are a good percentage of games where it's you're just kind of gold fishing because a lot of your creatures you can't trade profitably against. Like because of Gravecrawler, you can't trade with that guy, and Messenger is very challenging to trade with. It can lead to games that are non-interactive. A lot of this has to do with the way that these decks are configured, though. If they had Pillar of Flame, let's say, instead of some of the other removal spells that they had, then they would have much better game against the threats that were being presented.
Sure.
And it's not like Pillar of Flame is like a huge opportunity cost to play either. It's like, well, it's possible you should be playing that over Tragic Slip anyway.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Outside of zombies becoming a more popular deck, so there was an issue of how many red spells you actually want in the deck because. Like I mentioned before, the meta isn't awesome, and most of my losses in Baltimore came down to had too many red spells in the deck and had a game where I just didn't draw red mana.
Didn't draw red mana, or the red mana that you drew was like Black Leaves on like turn 4 when it comes into play tapped.
Yep. But so there is a question of how many red spells you do want in the deck, but I think you want Pillar, Brimstone, Volley as your primary removal suite. And then beyond that, you can complement it with Slips or Dismembers or whatever the case.
Sure. Charlie looks at his opener, and from what I could tell, I'm looking at 5 lands. In the other, semifinal match, Alex Etzel is up a game in the Delver Mirror over Barrett Kroger. So I'm assuming we will cut away to that match at some point because this match is so quick.
So it looks like Charlie kept a hand of Brimstone Volley, 2 Grave Crawlers, and 4 lands.
It's either a Brimstone Volley or a Mark of Mutiny. I think it's a Mark.
Is that a Mark Immunity?
I think so. I'm not 100% positive, but I think it is. All right, slip that.
All right. Well, this is. Oh, and did we just get extracted? Oh my God.
You get extracted?
Oh boy.
Ew. Ew.
Oh no.
That was gross.
I'm not a huge fan of extraction in the mirror, but it sure was good there.
I mean, you need like you said. Han has like plenty of bad cards in his deck, so
Yeah,
like
sure.
trying to get that or trying to get a messenger when it dies or something, and just trying to get lucky, like anything is better than the highborn ghouls.
Right. Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
no,
you
for
might as
sure.
well try something.
I probably would have waited until he was in his draw step because there's really no risk. You give him one shot, another shot to draw a
Another grave crawler, sure.
But
There's no actual rush to do that.
I was about to say that tragic slip's not very good because the grave crawler in his hand had nothing to do on the second turn anyway.
Yeah, so he's gonna get it back, and
Yeah.
then it's like, why would you tragic slip? But now it looks awesome because his hand is Charlie's hand is terrible.
Yeah.
His hand is Mark and Mutiny lands.
And he knows about the mark now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The mark is not gonna catch him off guard. So it's gonna be. I mean, the good thing for Charlie, trying to keep it positive, is that he has enough lands to cast whatever spells he draws.
Yes.
So he doesn't draw any more lands this game, and every spell that he draws is a live draw. Problem is that he needs to draw them now.
Yeah. That was really, really, really bad for Charlie.
And I would say that every land he draws is basically a dead draw at this point. He only has 18 left in his deck, but if he draws another one, ugh,
And
like
there's
he
another
like
one.
he just did. Your turn. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. In most cases, surgical is rather bad. I mean, this particular game. That's another.
And there's a cliff, so
He's got to play the cliffs this turn.
yeah, he may not want to give away that he drew a land.
Sure. I mean, I guess if he has 5
enough mana to
that he can hide that.
Right.
The coming to play tapped is probably not going to be detrimental. Messenger or no? Okay, no messengers.
It's a slow game.
The
There's a Blood
Artiste. Is this a stage where you want to run Blood Artist out there?
I don't think I would cast it just because you have so much mana that you can probably set up a turn where something more productive happens. And with Han saying go with 3 mana up, you can assume that his hand also has a lot of reactive cards in it. So the odds that the Blood Artist stays in play and does something impactful that turn are just so low.
Sure.
There's a messenger.
There's a messenger. Now, there is one card in Charlie's deck. There are a couple cards in Charlie's deck that will get him back into this game. But Vampire Nighthawk would be a fantastic draw if he has it.
There's a spell bomb, so he also now has Art Trail as a pretty awesome draw as well.
Yeah, we're back in that Art Trail situation that we had earlier.
I really don't like the threaten effects in this matchup.
Nah, me either. I just don't think that that's the way that you're going to go about winning. He only has 2 Falkenrath Aristocrats to really make them impressive.
Yeah.
To be removal spells or that sort of thing. So him taking a guy, I can understand where he's coming from because he's on the play, and
Yep.
he just wants to destroy him as quickly as possible when he's on the play. But if Han was able to keep his threats in check, and by watching game 1, his goal is just to keep his threats off the table as best he possibly can, tragic slipping a grave crawler, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
then it's not going to work the way that he wants it to. Mark and Mutiny this guy, which I don't like at all.
Well,
because
now he also
it
doesn't,
shuts off the Art Trail.
Yeah, now he doesn't even have Art Trail as a draw.
And those 4 points of damage that he's getting in for, while not irrelevant, Art Trail is a way that he can actually win this game that he's actually just taken away from himself.
Yeah. I actually think in the abstract, like the threatened cards would be much better in game 1. Not that you would ever play active aggression game 1.
Sure.
But it could play well in the first game because there's so many just like random doofuses and the decks are just more aggressive. Almost invariably what's happening in the sideboard games is that you're cutting out your pressure to add better reactive tools. So it makes it even less likely that the game's going to play in such a way that that matters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he's drawn Aristocrat plus Messenger. So a pretty good set of draws. Um, if Han has actually nothing in his hand, I think it's reason like he actually has a shot at winning this game.
Yeah, I think that in order for Charlie to win this game, things are going to have to break his way. But I think as far as setting up a line for what he has in his hand, I think it begins with Aristocrat attacking for 4, putting Han down to 9, tying the game, playing Black Cleaves, and then the following turn attacking for 4 more, puts him down to 5, playing Messenger and sacking it's going to put him down to 1. So we just need to find a way to deal that last point of damage.
I think you need to start off by casting Messenger. Because Messenger can attack next turn. Like if you play Messenger this turn, it can attack next turn. Whereas if you play it next turn, you can't cast it. It can't attack for the game, basically.
Sure.
And it makes Brimstone Volley a live draw because we can go. Oh no, it actually cuts off Brimstone Volley. Yeah, if you play it your way, then we can still draw Brimstone Volley, I guess.
Yeah, we can draw any of our 3 mana spells then.
Okay.
Because he'll have 6 mana the following turn. I think that this way isn't a way that's going to lead him to winning. Because he's going to go on to 11, and then he's going to have the opportunity to attack. But if he draws Brimstone Volley this turn, he can't play both of his spells, and he's going to lose.
Yeah. All right.
And that was... Okay, that's just a volley in his hand, sure.
So, yeah, the Mark Immunity counter put it to exact lethal.
Yep. Exactly enough, and that's going to mean that Han Yu is moving on to the finals.
Yep, congratulations. Another interesting thing about... Now, obviously, this has a lot to do with the way that the specific draws broke. But if he doesn't fire off that Mark Immunity on that one turn, the way the draws worked out, he could have gone Messenger attack you, Aristocrat attack you, next turn, Messenger mark your Messenger, and that's almost certainly lethal, assuming that Han has nothing.